the controversial confirmation process for Brett Kavanaugh took another turn. Republicans folding under pressure, ordering a one-week FBI review of the allegations against him. He's denied sexual assault allegations from yesterday's unusual hearing, an emotional, angry, combative, and at times indignant performance that, as I've mentioned tonight, left our nation in sad discussions and appraisals through the evening and well into today. These hearings were important, and just because they were frustrating and often inadequate to address the significant issues they raised, I don't think that means the hearings were not revealing. And a messy, revealing process can at times be more useful for vetting than a neat and choreographed one. So in addition to weighing the allegations against Kavanaugh, and I'll say more about that in a moment, the U.S. Senate and this country also has a lot more information to weigh about Kavanaugh now. You know, judges always start with precedent. So in vetting this judge, let's begin with the precedent for these kind of hearings. Because if you go back across ideological lines, the precedent is for nominees to insist in these hearings that they're neutral and fair, that they're blank slates, so don't let politics or policy or opinion impact their work. They talk about balls and strikes and following the rule of law.
My job isn't to write the laws, it's to apply the laws. And that is enough for a day's work, and it's enough for a life's work.
My approach, I believe, is neither liberal nor conservative. It is rooted in the place of the judiciary, of judges, in our democratic society.
The courts are a place where people need to be able to go to secure a determination of their rights under the law in a totally unbiased way. That's a commitment all judges make when they take a judicial oath.
When they take the judicial oath. And here's what's revealing tonight and probably bad for Kavanaugh. Until yesterday, he was using that same playbook, but then he tossed it out. The mask fell. We got a window into how he thinks and acts under pressure and on legal and evidentiary issues that involve himself. So let's look at this contrast of before and after. And please keep in mind, you are watching a sitting federal judge who took that oath, who has an obligation to rule above politics, and who went from disclaiming politics to blasting a political party yesterday and darkly alleging conspiracy theories and political hit jobs that he can't prove. So I'm going to show you this now. And when you watch the contrast, keep in mind, you're about to see some of the most direct, partisan language any Supreme Court nominee has ever used in a confirmation hearing in the modern era.
I'm a judge. I'm not making the policy decision. My job is to decide whether that policy is consistent with law. This is a circus. The consequences will extend long past my nomination. The consequences will be with us for decades. I take very seriously your broader point about maintaining confidence of all the American people in the integrity and impartiality and independence of the Supreme Court. This whole two-week effort has been a calculated and orchestrated political hit. Revenge on behalf of the Clintons.
On behalf of the Clintons? If there's evidence that Bill and Hillary Clinton or their staff are involved in long-ago sexual assault allegations against Kavanaugh, Kavanaugh hasn't released it, and neither have his people, which makes that claim right there not only dubious, but totally questionable for a judge testifying under oath and who has to rule on disputes that involve, yes, Trump and the Clintons and people in both parties. A new side of Kavanaugh was revealed there, someone who seems to think it reasonable to channel a Hannity or Trump-style counterattack on the Clintons anytime he's pressed on his own conduct. Kavanaugh is a federal judge today, a place he got after being confirmed when we saw a different man back in 2006.
I will, at all times, maintain the absolute independence of the judiciary, which in my judgment is the crown jewel of our constitutional democracy.
At all times includes yesterday. And whether you're impressed with Kavanaugh's credentials or not, whether you think his rulings are solid or not, and people disagree, when you see these direct attacks on Democrats yesterday, you know he is not maintaining the commitment he made. He has departed from what we can call tonight old Kavanaugh, who talked about, quote, the absolute independence of the judiciary, end quote. So what you're seeing here violates not only his standard, but is unbecoming for any sitting federal judge.
You're asking about, yeah, blackout. I don't know. Have you?
Could you answer the question, Judge? That's not happened. Is that your answer?
Yeah, and I'm curious if you have.
Personally, do you think that's the best thing for us to do? You want to answer?
And whoever wants, whatever the committee decides, I'm all in
question is-
immediately. I'm all in immediately.
Yeah.
Under the Constitution that judges like Kavanaugh swear to uphold, it is the U.S. Senate that advises and consents on judicial nominations, which means yesterday you were witnessing the Senate as the judge of his promotion. And as you may have noticed, it looked like Kavanaugh, the judge, struggled to respect the judge in that process, whether he agrees with the process or not. So we're learning a lot about this nominee and what he really thinks and how much he's able to actually be independent of politics and whom he blames, the Clintons, the Democrats, for the vetting that he knew was coming. So this is all now a public record, and that's apart from any conclusions that the FBI will help investigate the claims of sexual misconduct against Kavanaugh by Dr. Ford and others. She also testified under oath yesterday under a different kind of strain than he was facing, and as many noticed, with a very different approach.
I believed he was going to rape me for help. When I did, Brett put his hand over my mouth to stop me from yelling. This is what terrified me the most and has had the most lasting impact on my life. It was hard for me to breathe, and I thought that Brett was accidentally going to kill me.
The U.S. Senate's job is to weigh those claims along with Kavanaugh's wider record. The FBI's job, courtesy of the breaking news today, is to give the U.S. Senate nonpartisan information to help adjudicate those claims. What the FBI cannot help with, and what has at times been obscured by some of the noise, is how much of that wider record looks different given how much Kavanaugh revealed about himself yesterday. Now, I don't think we know for a fact if he perjured himself, but I think we do know something else. He violated an important legal standard, one you are surely familiar with. He did not tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.